Hey, and welcome to DotProduct Vector Operator. The ratio of how fun this video sounds compared to how fun it's going to be is really, really high. By the end of it, we are going to have our tanks actually moving forward and backwards in order to obtain a broadside position on us. Yes, they overshoot, but that's because they themselves have to use the same control system that we are using and are subject to the same physics system. So I will see you in there. So currently, if we look at the logs that come out of our game when we're playing, we get this vectoring vector, which is this thing that's logged here, this move velocity string, which is the move velocity, if you remember, that comes in from the AI pathfinding system. And it is not what we call a unit vector. This vector is long. If you look to that in 3D space, it's got a definite length to it, thousands or hundreds of thousands of units long. So one of the first things we want to do is normalize this just to get a unit vector out. We're only actually interested in the direction in which the AI is asking us to move. We will decide how fast we're going to move in that direction. So before we go into how we're going to do these dot products and cosines and things, let's just do that. Let's just go move velocity. So I'm here in, by the way, the tank movement component inside the request direct move method. Move velocity dot get safe normal. And if you read what that method does, you'll find that it gets you a normal vector of this move velocity without changing move velocity. It doesn't mutate it. So that's the safe bit, means it doesn't change this thing, and it provides us a normalized vector. Let's see what that normalized vector means. I'll just compile that code. All I've added is what I've highlighted there, get safe normal, and we still convert it to a string and print it out, and then we'll just see how that changes this vector. So we play. I better clear the logs actually so we don't have to scroll down. There you go. Now we're still getting these direction vectors out of the AI tanks, but each one of these vectors, if we were to plot them in 3D space, has a total length of 1. So it might just be x equals 1, y equals 0, z equals 0, i.e. straight down the x-axis, or if it's at all off of that, then you're going to see components in the other directions. But if you were to sum these x, y, and z components up, or square them rather, and sum them up, and then take the square root of what you got, the whole Pythagoras thing, you'd get a length of 1. I'm not going to bore you with that, but these are unit vectors. They are in the same direction, but they have just a length of 1. We did visit unit vectors earlier in the course. So that is the unit vector for the direction in which the AI intends for the tank to move forward. In fact, let's give it a better name. Let's call this thing AI forward intention. And I'd better stop it being a string. And I don't think we need this log entry anymore. I'll just comment out the log. So we have an AI forward intention. We get what that is. We've seen the logs of it. It's a unit vector in the direction the AI would like the tank to move. Great. Okay, let's just move the tank name. In fact, I'm going to get rid of the tank name altogether. There's another thing that would be useful to have, which is the tank forward direction right now. So we just need tank forward. Now, how do you get the tank forward? Have a little bit of a think about it yourself. We're on the movement component. What do we do to go from the movement component to the tank itself? We get owner. And then through the owner, we get forward vector. Get actor forward vector, because the owner is an actor. And I'm going to also get safe normal. So what that will give us is a unit vector in the direction the tank is facing forward. Let's look at that physically in the game world. If we look at this tank BP2 here, it's facing along the red arrow, the x-axis, and that would be the vector it would return. It's a vector in the direction of the x-axis, the tank's local x-axis, that is, the tank's forward axis. Don't get confused, by the way, with this x down here. This is the global x-axis. This tank just happens to be a line down the global x. If we look at this guy, he isn't. He is not a line down the global x. The global x is off to the left here. If you click this little button in the top of your viewport, look where I'm clicking. It's difficult for me to explain where, but it's in the top of the viewport. It's a little box or a world. If you click it from the world to the box, then it will show you the vector in terms of the tank's local forward. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about this little local x here for both tanks. Okay, that red arrow is what it's going to return with a length of 1. So we've got these two things. We've got the direction the tank's currently facing, and we've got the direction the AI would like the tank to be heading in. And tanks generally drive forward, they don't drive sideways. So our job is to try and come up with a movement scheme that means that the tank goes forward at an appropriate speed, depending on the difference between where the AI wants it to be facing and where it is facing. So what do we need? We need something called a cosine function, if you remember your school. So what we're going to have on this axis is on the x-axis, we've got the angle between these two things, between the AI forward intention and the tank's forward vector. And on the y-axis, we have the throw, well, we want to end up with the throw that we're going to put into intend move forward, the control throw. This is so the AI can literally control the controller. So let's think about this. If the angle between the forward intention and the tank forward vector is 0, that means the tank is already facing directly in the direction the AI wants it to be going. Therefore, what do? We go forward at full speed, this one throw up here. As that angle closes down towards 90 degrees, at 90 degrees, that means that the AI is saying go to your, say, let's call it, we have intend turn left or right? I can't remember. Intend turn right, I think. Yeah. So let's call 90 degrees a 90-degree right turn. If the AI is intending a 90-degree right turn, or that it wants you to go 90 degrees to your right, how fast forward should you be moving at that point? Well, you shouldn't be moving forward because the thing is to your right precisely. And then as we move to a position where actually the AI wants you, the AI forward intention is 180 degrees out of phase with the tank's forward, i.e. the AI wants you going backwards, what do? You drive backwards as fast as you can. You put a throw in of -1, and so on for things to your left, and then again we get back to okay, it's directly in front of you. This 360-degree difference is the same as a 0-degree. This diagram wraps around itself, all right? So we get to 360, it's the same deal. It's basically saying the AI forward intention is aligned with the tank forward. Let's go forward at full speed. And the cool thing about this is it varies smoothly in between these situations as well. So a cosine is perfect for what we want with a forward speed. So what we need, or what we could use very appropriately, is something called the vector dot product. Now, don't go mad about the maths. I've extracted a tiny piece of the Wikipedia article on the dot product right there for you. And I will just talk about the maths, because really it is just a mathematical function, so there's no point in putting fluffy interpretation around it until we've understood the maths. So the dot product, A dot B, means the magnitude of A, how big's vector A, which we've already calculated, by the way. It is this guy here, tank forward, times the magnitude of B, we've already got that, that's the AI forward intention, times the cosine of the angle between them, the thing that we just said we wanted. So a dot product is pretty ideal, because it takes the magnitude of these two things and it multiplies by the cosine of the angle between them. But we want the magnitudes to be 1 before we start, because we don't want the size of this move velocity or anything about that this tank forward vector would be a normal vector, even if we didn't get safe normal, by the way. This is just being safe. But we don't want the size of the move velocity to impact our answer. We want our answer to come out as between 1 and -1. So I am already making sure that these things, the size, these lines here mean the size of A and the size of B. I'm making sure the size of those are both 1 at the most. Okay, so that then we're really focusing on just the angle. So another way of interpreting the dot product is it takes in two F vectors. It outputs a float. What is it? It's the projection of one vector to the other. It's the parallelness. How parallel are we if I am already facing in the direction the AI wants me to be? 100% parallel. I have a value of 1. If I'm facing in the opposite direction, I'm 100% not parallel. I have a parallelness of -1, and so on for everything in between. The value of this dot product is maximum when the vectors are parallel and 0 when they're perpendicular. And the diagram is, one way of looking at it is like this. So say B is the tank forward direction, but A is the AI aim intention, or the AI forward intention. Then what you've got there is you've got the projection. You're saying, well, how aligned are they? And that is what we're getting out of the dot product here. I know it's a bit mathematical. It's clear to people who understand maths. It's difficult for people who don't. But let's just see it in action. That's going to be the key now. So we already have these two things. What I want you to do is use the the dot product to actually drive the tank and see what the result is for yourself. I want to give you that satisfaction. So I want you to use F vector dot product. Take a dot product between AI forward intention and tank forward, feed the result into intend move forward, and then share the resulting movement with the community over on our community site, preferably as a little video. So go ahead, do that, and I'll see you there. Okay, so let's take a little look at what code we need to write. We want to say something like AI auto, throw required, or required throw, or forward throw, equals F vector dot product between the tank forward and the AI forward intention. Okay, Now, let's send that to intend move forward. Forward throw. Simples. Okay, let's see what happens there. Let's compile this up. While it's compiling, I'll leave the code on the screen. I think I've spelt forward throw wrong. I have, so I need to recompile. Okay, there you go. So I've just done that and that, as I've highlighted. And then let's get ourselves some AI tanks in a position that we can deal with. So let's go to the top perspective. Just remind ourselves where the player start is. Great. It's there. Where's tank BP1? Not that close to us. Let's move it a bit closer. And tank BP2. Okay, let's have a look then. Oh, look, here it goes. It's driving forward, and then it's oscillating back a little bit, and it's kind of moving until it's side on. Let's have a look at the other tank. Where's the other guy? I think what I'll do is go into perspective view. In fact, what I would like is I'd like to be a little bit more out in the open, or at least to have my tank, say, here, and then this other tank. Let's bring him over here so we can see what's going on. Okay, I'm going to go to F11. Alt P to play. Let's watch this other tank. He's already side on, so he's not moving. This guy wasn't side on, so he's got himself into a side on position. How cool. How about if we put that tank over there and watch him? He's moving. This other guy isn't right now. Is he stuck in the ground? Let's see what's up with him. Okay, there's something fishy about this other tank. So before I spill too much blood on the other tank, what I'm going to quickly do is just go and get a new tank blueprint and pop it down in case we've fiddled with the parameters of that tank too much. And there you go, we had. So look at that tank, he goes back, he overshoots because of his momentum, because remember he's applying forces to the tank, he's not just moving the tank position, so he goes full throttle backwards, he goes, oh, no throttle, but he's overshooting because of the momentum, and then he's going to try and move forward again. And that's pretty cool, right? The two tanks are moving forward and back so that they get broadside onto us, and they are obeying the same physics that we have to. They have inertia. If they don't control their tank right, they overshoot just like we do. None of these perfect robotic tanks. So that's a real result for this lecture. I hope you're glad with the result of that, and or pleased with, should I say. And I will see you in the next lecture.